Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to a scene for the Empire of Thorns, a Changing of the Lost game set in New York City. Tonight we find a character who has been in what would some call the midst of the largest war on the streets of Ferry, who has been seen in ages. He was a prisoner of the Crimson Prince, an enigmatic figure high upon his palace in the center of very, very, very maze-like labyrinthian halls, streets, cities, corridors, sewers. Everything in this realm exists to kill or be killed, to backstab, to manipulate, to essentially harm one another over, all in the bid of trying to get into the Crimson Prince's palace and into his parties and into his good graces and favor. It's said that those that do are never seen again, but small signs that they are still around filter down. But Elliot was not one of those. He was nowhere near. He was a simple level street lackey. That's where he was. He had a keeper, a handler, someone above him, the boss of his, one would say, faction. This night, the boss sent him out. It was for a target. He wanted him to kill a guy named Joey Tits. And he wanted him dead. And he wanted him dead good. And Elliot was sent to kill him. Elliot did his thing, hit the halls and the streets, made his way through the maze, but he took a wrong turn. And in that wrong turn, he saw something. As he thought he was correcting himself, he saw the hedge. He saw the brambles and the verdant green peeking out. And Elliot did what any sane lost would do. He ran. He ran and he ran and he ran. He ran until his lungs began to burn. He ran until his legs felt as though they would shatter. He ran until he saw another light, an opening. What does Elliot do?
So by this point, Elliot's most of his shoes have been torn up. He's probably ditched them hours ago at this point. His button-up shirt, which was already tattered when he first began this hell of a life that he had began, is also now in shambles. It's also torn apart. He's had to roll his pants up just so that way they didn't get wet from walking across whatever they needed to walk across. He looks at the light and he prays as he moves towards it. He's not sure if there's a God anymore. He's been pretty sure that there hasn't been for a long, long time now, but if there is one, that light is some kind of escape from the war that he was fighting, whether it be through death or something somewhat brighter.
As he steps out, as he comes through, the first thing that hits him is the sheer noise. There's so much noise around him. There's cars, there's people walking, talking, yelling at each other, laughing, fighting on their phones. Their phones, oh wow, they have phones with them. They have little phones with them. You don't remember phones being that small. They have things that you just can't process happening around you. One guy flies by on a bike. He's got what appears to be a tiny camera strapped to his forehead, or a light. Maybe it's a light of some sort. You're not sure there's a light on it, but you're so used to just oppressive crowd and faces that all these faces don't stand up. These aren't lost. These aren't dragons, and these aren't people that have black eyes and soot for fingers. These aren't people. These are just people, normal humans, and you don't even know where to start. Anxiety begins to take you. Your lungs begin to feel almost trapped in a vice. You feel the weight of the real world pressing back onto you. You're in an alcove, bricks surrounding you on three sides, the path behind you closed and gone. One thing stands out to you as all of these people are passing by. Coming along the sidewalk, there are two people, two men, in fact. They're walking along. They have the only, what you notice, different appearances about them. There's one on the right, a little bit smaller. He stands about 5'6" or so. He's got hair similar to the one that you see swept, a cute little haircut, but it's flaming red, and there's flames licking off of his skin, off of his hair. His ears are tipped like an elf. He has little sharp teeth, not like they're all sharp and pointed, but just his canines. And the man next to him, at first, almost looks demonic. You think for a moment it is a demon. But then you realize that there's something oddly alluring about him. Even as a man, if you aren't sexually attracted to them, it's that you almost want to be him. He has a tail coming from the back of his clothing. It's not a pointed tail, but a bit of a furry tail, almost like a lion. He has the same kind of pointed teeth that his companion does. And his eyes blaze with a beautiful yellow golden light. His hair, everything about him looks perfect, as though he could have any woman in the world he wanted. And you realize there's a flame siren and an incubus.
He is immediately hiding.
One quick second. Yes, that's good. Hiding is good. There's a fucking incubus coming.
Oh, hey, yeah, I saw normal people. Wait, what the fuck? Nope.
The incubus, you would notice, seems to be listening to the littler one. He stands at about 6'2", Liam, the incubus. He has a very handsome, full build compared to the little wisp beside him. He seems to be listening to Liam talk. Liam's talking about, he basically says, I'm not saying I don't like her. I'm not saying that's what my problem is. I'm just saying she's cheap. That's what it is. He basically nods and smartly and kind of looks at Liam like, don't you understand? Don't you get it? And Liam just kind of shakes his head and looks down at him like, you are too much. You have so much happening in that little body of yours. Fortunately for you, at a diff of 7, that's...
Oh, are we doing an opposed roll right now?
Nope.
Yep. Or no?
That one is not opposed. That one is not opposed, no.
Okay.
Liam does stop and basically kind of wrinkle his brow. You notice his nose kind of sniff the air. And he holds his hand up to Jamie, whose names you don't know, but still. And he says, there's something here, something, and he kind of looks around almost alarmed. And he says, the hedge opened here recently. And he kind of looks up and looks around, and Jamie's like, yeah, so? What is it? What? And? So? Why you always got a medal? And he brushes him off, he puts a hand up and waves him away and begins to look around. And he is looking in the area that your character is in. You see, Liam wasn't looking for you, he was looking for the hedge breach. That's why it wasn't opposed.
Okay.
So, with this incubus curious and getting closer, what do you do? They don't seem to be threatening. To be honest, Liam seems a little tipsy, maybe. Not terribly so, but looks like he's probably had a drink or two. You can smell the smell of alcohol as he gets a little bit closer.
All right. I don't know how much time he's got to do it. One question. Is it nighttime?
It is nighttime, yes.
I'm assuming he's outdoors.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm assuming he's in darkness. Would this changeling already have knowledge of his contracts?
Probably not.
No? Okay. Then he's just going to do a stealth roll.
Okay. Contracts are something that your character learns from goblins and stuff like that. I don't believe you have them in the hedge. I'm not sure though. I can check over.
That's fine. We'll just say no for right now. Would the specialty clings to shadows count?
Heck yeah.
Okay. He's not going to spend glamour to up his stealth pool. Wow. That is not good at all.
Remember, the base difficulty is 7, and looks like our dear Liam here has 1 over you. Well, he has 1. Is that...
Well, ones don't remove successes. Unless you've got a house rule.
Oh, no, you're right. God, you know what? Dude. New one. So
yeah, New World, it's 8, and ones don't remove.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Our buddy here did get seen.
He'll look down at your character. And he's going to take a moment to he looks at your character, and at first he appears cautious and a bit he appears as though he's trying to feel you out, but then you notice that he very quickly shifts into a more relaxed, calm demeanor, and he goes, "Oh, hey, it's okay. Are you all right?"
Knife is out and pointed at the man. Nothing is being said.
Okay. He'll take a breath and realize, you're probably frightened and newly returned, and he'll say, It's all right. My name's Liam. Are you all right?"
Why do you care?
He'll take a breath, and Jamie will basically be like, "Oh no, not one of these. Oh no. Okay, just saying. You see, I told you, you're a meddler." And he just kind of shakes his head and looks back at Jamie like, "Really? Come on." He'll look back at you. Listen, I understand that you've obviously been through something rough. That's fine. I went through something as well. I want to help you. I'd say it's a bit of my duty to help people in your situation.
Why am I supposed to trust you?
Well, I know that you really can't. What you can trust is that you're on the streets of New York City with, I assume, nothing.
And at that point, Elliot's eyes go wide.
You have no identity that anyone would recognize. The clothes on your back, the food not in your belly. Those are things that you can trust. You don't have. What I have is the ability to help you get on your feet again.
You make one wrong move.
If I make one wrong move and you strike me, then I can think of at least 10 lovers that I've been with in the past week will come after you. So, why don't we just keep the threats to a minimum? I'm not here to hurt you. But, that was impressive, I won't lie. You got some bass in your voice. Jamie just kind of looks at you like, fuck you. Think you up, pendejo. Let's say that under his breath. He has that little Latino sass. Or Latina, that's the problem.
Wait, was he talking shit to Elliot right then?
He didn't talk shit to him. He was basically just kind of like, really? Right? Okay, I see you. But it's Jamie's hard to place. You can't tell if Jamie is a male or a female. It's the second you start thinking it's a man, you think it's a woman, and the second you start thinking it's a woman, it's like, but it's I can't tell.
We're going with they. That's what people started going with right before I left. They was starting to catch on.
It's they. So they will they'll basically kind of discuss among themselves for a moment. You apparently are near the Brooklyn Bridge, which is very good because they have to get you into Brooklyn. So they'll let your character know. Liam will say to you, it should only take about 30 minutes to get there. You ever been on a subway before?
No.
Okay. He'll fish around his wallet. He'll pull out a subway card, swipe twice, offering you the first go.
He'll actually just look at Liam and just wait for him to go first.
He'll nod and he'll go through.
It is only after seeing that Liam did not die, in fact, that he'll go ahead and yeah.
Jamie just kind of rolls his eyes at you like, you are kidding me. And he'll just he'll swipe his card, and he's like, he'll kind of like slap Liam on the arm. He's like, why didn't you pay for me? And he's like, what? And he'll just kind of blow him off like, really? So they'll get into the car with you. They'll sit. There's some lost activity going on in this train car. There's some hobs that kind of come and go in as you're riding. Brooklyn's a nice long trip. It takes about a good, as you said, 30 minutes. And at one point you'll see a dog come on, a golden retriever with a top hat and a bow tie on, and he sits down and he paws open a newspaper at his feet, just starts reading it. Nobody seems to really notice, but he just starts reading it. He kind of chuffs at one point at the information, just kind of like. At another point, a very, very large, and by large I don't mean poor eating habits, but hefty, big, tall rock of a woman comes on, shaking the subway as she does. And she kind of wedges herself into two of the seats. She's got a stethoscope around her neck, nurse's outfit on, her hair, what appears to be of it, the strings of gray are kind of clasped up in a bun on top of her head. And Liam and Jamie, they don't even seem to really care. Liam will actually kind of give her a nod and a small wave, and she'll give him an extremely feminist giggle in her deep, rocky voice.
As Elliot scans for escape routes and the vital points of both of these men.
So you're pretty sure if he took his tail off, it would hurt.
Yeah.
So Jamie just spends the entire time texting, and at one point he's like, I have a show tomorrow. Can you give me a ride? To Liam. And he's basically like, can't you take the subway? And he's like, it's out in the Hamptons. And he's like, oh, fine, I'll give you a ride. And they just kind of talk. Liam will sit, and eventually he'll turn to your character and he'll say, I'm bringing you to meet someone fairly important. I don't want you to feel that it's a threat, or that it's that I'm trying to say anything unbecoming to you. But he is the type of person where he can either bring you great will and help you, or he can bring you great harm if you're not careful.
I've been back for about half an hour and it's already business as usual again. Whatever.
He'll nod and he'll say, I do feel you there, actually. So they get you off the subway. You get off the subway with you. Inform you it's just a small walk, not very long. They'll let you know as of right now you're a guest of the court. They're taking you to the freehold and the throne of the court, the actual seat of power for the Spring Court. They'll let you know that if you wander off or if you wander away, the Clavengers, which Jamie is one of them, will be more than happy to put you back in the right path. It's no threat. Again, they're not trying to be rude. They just need to let you know there's boundaries, and if you
Okay.
break them, that's the way
Okay.
it's going to be.
No. The thing that freaked him out was when he heard court, and then they corrected and said spring court, and he was like,
Yes.
okay. Like
Um,
the second he probably just heard court, the blade was already becoming to like form in his hand. Like,
so
I'm
he'll
sorry, I'm trying to see this as accurately as I can.
so
I'm
he
trying
will
not to get killed by this
he'll
tape truck.
You told me you have several backup characters, okay?
Yeah. Gets to
So
the end.
so they will get your character into the court. It is a very beautiful um old factory, a foundry in fact. There's ivy growing outside on the brickwork, large stacks for where the smoke used to leave, obviously, which now just are wrapped in vines, setting a beautiful backdrop against it. There are people um, in the court who are, you can see them milling about. You have to go through a gate to get to it. Um, that gate is a mixture between black and wrought black steel, basically. Obviously not iron. But around it, once they bring you inside, there are many beautiful people, powerful people, seeming elegant people standing around, talking, laughing. There are some people performing music together. There are some people. It's early evening, as I said. There are some people who are supping together. There are even some people who are basically engaged in challenge to people who are sword fighting, doing so very gracefully, very lovely. Not the chopping, slashing hard, but more of kind of the elegant dance. Um, and they'll bring you inside, uh, and eventually they'll bring you to a room. It's a very large room, and on one end is a large throne, a large wooden throne with vines and leaves and flowers growing out of it. Little hob birds sitting and tucked into it. Um, and next to it stands a man. Um, he is what, a good 6 feet or so tall. The one thing that strikes your character about him is that he's a beast. You notice that first off. His ears are they're pointed again, like Jamie's are, except his are more feral looking. It's very clear that he has the wolf heritage in him. He's got large, bright yellow eyes like amber glowing from his face, dreadlocks and long hair spill across his bare chest. He's wearing a pair of basically what almost appear to be leather breeches, you would think, with basically soft doeskin boots. Um, it seems as though he's a very feral person, and at the same time, he still has this elegant strength about him. When he walks, your character notices that little flowers bloom in his footsteps as he's moving. Verdant green grass grows. Um, there's this glow about him of the spring sun, bright and golden. But he's in a more subdued state right now, so the full might of his mantle isn't quite coming across. Liam will approach him and say, "Your Majesty." I'll give him a very respectful bow, and he'll kind of look over at him, tilt his head very similar to the way it is in the picture, curious, and he'll say, "We found a newly arrived Fae. We found him very close to the Lower East Side, so close to our own territory we thought we'd bring him to you." And he nods politely at Liam, gives him a little gesture that he can move aside. And King Ferran of the Spring Court approaches your character, looking down at him.
Now's probably a good time to describe Elliot. Elliot is one of the most if it wasn't for his tattered, like fucked up appearance, he'd be one of the most unassuming darklings anyone has ever seen. He definitely looks like more of an intellectual. He comes across as drow with that. Like he comes across as a drow of African descent, more or less, with red eyes, very pale skin that makes him look almost sickly. And what the king will probably notice is this guy has zero, like, he doesn't take up any of the room, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Like, the king probably takes up, like, a good amount of, like, metaphysical space when he walks in the room. This guy occupies none at all.
One could say at most your character occupies the breaths between his.
Yeah, more or less.
So he'll look over your character. You notice his nose wiggle and sniff for a moment. And then he shifts. And when he shifts, instead of turning into a smaller wolf, he turns into a larger, dire wolf. Easily the size of a draft horse. It's almost unbelievable that an animal this size could exist and not shatter the laws of physics. And he basically moves closer to your character and takes another sniff. Sniff, sniff, sniff. His wet nose will touch your character's arm. His tongue will. It's so paradoxical because the touch is so light and velvety. And yet, because he's feeling you out, because he's learning you, assessing you in his own feral way, there is a hint of a tension to it that's a little bit stressing. He'll circle around your character, looking him up and down with his eyes, head not moving very much. And he'll look you over once again, standing before you again. And he'll lay down, paws folded in front of him. And in a very deep voice, which you can understand, he says, "What is your name?"
He has to look down, because he just kind of thinks, it's been so long since someone's asked me that. Elliot. That was it.
What do you wish to be called?
For now, I think Elliot's fine.
He'll bow
How's
his
that?
head softly. He'll look him over, considering again. You are welcome to find safety, shelter in my court. I will feed you, clothe you, and make sure that you will not be harassed by mortal authorities. But I don't think that you, by your smell, by your demeanor, I do not believe that you would be happy in the court of desire in the spring.
I understand that, my lord.
Majesty is fine.
Majesty. Sorry. but I will not forget the kindness that you and the Spring Court have given me.
He'll bow his head again, and he'll say, "From what I have seen of you, you would probably do well once you have gained your bearing, finding those of the Iron Court. Although I think there is place for you in the Summer Court as well." As he's speaking and talking to you, the door bursts open and two people come in carrying a third. He appears to have his skull split open, not so deep that his, soft matter is exposed, but across his brow you can see where the white of the bone is shining through. Very gray. He looks to be very hurt, and blood is spilling down the front of his chest as two others carry him. A lot of noise. They're yelling a lot. Both of them trying to explain what happened at the same time, and it not coming across to the king, who snorts very hard, jumps up, and lets out a thunderous bark. Just a resonating noise. It wasn't even really a bark so much. It was just a cacophony that rung off of the walls of this place, seizing them both with fear. And he'll look over at them, and he'll look at one of them, and he'll say, "Explain." And they'll say, "We don't know what happened, sir. We." He'll kind of take a deep breath and just kind of pant out, and he'll say, "We think he was attacked by the winter. We're not sure. We there was a chill upon the air when we found him." And the other one will say, "He was with me. We were together. We were just hanging out." And he'll kind of look and he'll say, "We were talking. We were on the Chrysler building, on the Eagles." And the king growls hard, and he'll say, "That area is restricted. It is dangerous." And he'll kind of close his eyes and will say, "It's a pretty view out of game. People like to go up there and look, but it does put you at risk, and apparently this one took a tumble. Something or someone pushed him off." The king will basically shake his head hard, he begins to shift back into a human, and he just stops and stays in his wolf form, trots over to the other one, breathes a breath of warm air over him with almost kind of the swirls of arcane energy to it, a golden light like the one that surrounds him, washing over this young hurt man. It seems to draw no small measure of energy from the king, but he seems to replace it quickly. And the other one opens his eyes, they flutter open, and he looks around as though he didn't quite understand what happened. He'll shake his head and say, I'm sorry, we won't go back, we're sorry. We just wanted to see the city." He will huff and nod. He'll come back over to your character and lay down. Crisis averted. And look to your character.
Looks like I done walked into a whole new batch of problems, didn't I?
He'll think. There are tensions that are rising between us and the Winter Court. There have been attacks on both sides recently. None will claim the attacks. None will. Neither court will admit responsibility. Queen Cerise and I have tried to sit down and parlay, but we have not managed to get our schedules. Trying to think of the word out of game. Schedules to sync them.
Your Majesty, if I may have a bit of curiosity, does the Winter Court have any reason to attack? Or do you have any reason to attack them?
I have no quarrel with the Winter Court, other than the fact that they are preventing me from sealing my place as the Spring King by not allowing me to hold my homecoming when it needs to be held. To do this is a strike against my power, and it weakens me.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure what this all is. Sure, I'll figure it out in the times to come, but one of the first friendly faces I've seen so far. And giving me a place to stay, food, clothes. It may not be Spring Court material, but when someone does you a solid, you return the favor.
I did not. My concern was not whether you were Spring Court material or not. You are welcome to join our course. Course and time. I would advise you to make sure where you want to stay. But there can be desire found in the need to. He'll kind of smell your character over again, as though almost his feral lupine mind doesn't quite have the words, but knows the concepts and abstracts of revenge, vengeance, getting back one's power, basically. He'll think for a moment, look at your character and say, there is a clarion call that can be heard in the desire for the strike back. There is one in our court who follows this path. My vizier, one of the sirs. So, you are welcome to remain a guest in my court, and to perhaps join if you like. But you are also free to seek out the other courts if you wish. I can arrange to introduce you to the emissaries. So right now, the emissary to the Winter Court sits vacant. But I can introduce you to the emissaries of the Summer and the Autumn Court. But right now, I think what you need most is a warm meal, some fresh clothes on your back, and a shower. And either a nice place to curl up where it's quiet, or a little bit of company with the members of my court. You are free to any of these. Why don't I? I will see if one of our sage escorts will attend to your needs. The sage escorts out of game is what Liam is. Liam is one of the sage escorts. And although the name implies that they're basically a whore, they're really companions. They make sure that you have everything you need. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's there for other things. That's getting really kind of base about it. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
So yeah, he'll say, would you prefer a man or a woman keep you company in these days?
Nice.
You could also. He'll stop. He's not the best at etiquette.
Elliot's gonna stop too because he doesn't want the dire wolf to bite his face off. So it's just kind of this awkward, like both people stop.
He'll clarify and he'll say, if you'd like, Liam can stay with you. He wouldn't literally stay with you unless you wanted him to. I meant that he can see you through getting into the courts and make sure that you have everything you need.
Well, he is one of the worst faces I saw. I know we got off to a rocky start. Kind of shoots him a look. It's the first semi-joke he's kind of made.
He'll give him a kind of a like half cocky, half friendly grin.
Got off to a rocky start, but I like to think I grew on a little bit in the short amount of time that we took together.
Well, by all means, please feel free to. And he'll think again, trying so hard to be a smart wolfie. feel free to avail. He'll think if that's the right word, avail yourself. Although he thinks that might be the opposite word.
Avail, partake is also one.
Partake. He'll say, feel free to partake in Liam's services. He will make sure that you have everything you need. And if you need help finding a job, or if you even just want to stay in the courts and take some time adjusting, no rush. The spring court is one of the better courts for that out of game. They tend to be a little more lax about fucking people getting like their shit straight. So he'll stand up and stretch, kind of pop his joints. He'll shift back into a human and kind of scratch his belly. And he'll kind of say, "Where's Bella? Where's my daughter?" And Liam kind of looks and he'll think for a moment. And as he says that, as he kind of, says, "Where's Bella? Where's my daughter?" You hear a very soft, beautiful voice kind of gently speak with almost a little giggle. And you hear a voice say, "Here, Father." And this girl walks out. And she'll his face will light up as though he's looking at the most important thing in the world. And she'll walk over to him, essentially climb up him. He's a very, very, very large man, and she is a very small girl. She appears to be in her early teens, and she's still under the 5-foot mark. She'll basically kind of crawl up him and kind of smile at your character. And she'll kind of look over at your character with basically the same look that's on her face. Blink her big eyes. And now she's looking at you because you're not saying anything.
He's just kind of this guy that's taking up no space. He doesn't know how it feels to have attention put on him. So he just kind of looks to the side a couple times and just kind of waves and makes an awkward smile.
And wave at you too. And Ferran will explain that you're he'll say he's newly returned. And she'll go, oh, that's very nice. You're newly returned?
I guess.
How wonderful! You came back to us. And she'll actually jump off of him and skip over to your character happily. She's leaving basically the same kind of trails of like flowers in her wake, except they're not quite as big and verdant as Ferran leaves. And she basically kind of hops on your character, giving him a hug.
This character does not know how to respond to human affection.
We should have a party. A little party. A little party.
Little parties are fine.
It'll just be me and some of my friends, and maybe some of the other courts, and maybe we can invite some people from the other courts, and maybe a couple of the ensorcelled mortals. And she just starts adding more and more people. And the king just kind of he'll stop her. He'll say Bella, and and he's like, I know you're always looking for a reason to celebrate, but I don't think our friend quite. I'm gonna think about it. I don't think our friend is that sort of social. And her little lip bubbles out like she doesn't understand that people wouldn't want to be happy.
Well,
she's so precious.
Yeah. And kind of got Elliot a little bit as he says, well, Your Majesty, I suppose if she really does want something, if it's all right with you, of course, after about a week or so, after I've had a little bit of time to adjust to whatever this is, wouldn't mind having a little something.
She claps her hands together. Oh, joy! Yes! It will be wonderful. Little, but wonderful. She'll spin her little chiffon skirt, kind of spinning in the breeze. She'll skip back over to Ferran, look up to him and say, Daddy, may I please plan a party? And he'll look down at her and he'll say, yes, it's fine. You may plan this party. But remember, keep it small. No more than 10 people, I would say. We'll kind of look at your character for confirmation.
He kind of just nods nervously, implying that even 10 people may even be a little much for him.
No more than 10 people. And that means whole bodies. No twins. And she kind of... And she'll yay! And she'll skip out the door. The little whirlwind that she was in the first place. And the king will just watch her go very, very fondly. And he'll look back at your character. He'll say, I believe Liam can help you from here. If you need anything, please see to Liam, and he will aid you. And I will see you around court. And give you a nod. Your character is very well aware. What that means is don't ask me for anything, but if I see you, we can talk.
Okay.
He has to keep that distance as the monarch, honestly. There's channels that he needs people to go through. But he'll shift back to Lupus and basically bolt after Bella. With basically
think you mean Hispo.
Hispo. He switches back to four-legged Trinos.
That's practically an Hispo.
and bolts after Princess Bella, and Liam will basically look over at your character, and with the proper taste of the spring court that your character has had, he'll say, "Are you ready to change it to something more appropriate and be shown to a place you can stay for now?"
Yeah, sure.
There are 2 spots I've considered in this place for you. One is at the highest top of one of the foundries. There is a room. It's very drafty and dark, but it is solitaire. No one would be there. And there's also a place where if you, it's kind of like the basement, you know, kind of. It's not like the basement. Hello. It's not like the basement, but it's dark. It's in the cellars. You can probably sneak a couple of bottles of wine out of there. Just point it out.
Cellar doesn't sound too bad.
I mean, or I can stick you in the normal rooms, but at that point, it's.
No. How'd you know I preferred darker places?
You look in the mirror. Just a point. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not like, wow, that could have come across as incredibly racist. He'll walk with your character like, faux pas.
He's still kind of like still a little confused because since apparently he doesn't know what he looks like. He still looks like a normal dude.
He will take you into a room that is very, very beautiful. It's set like a boudoir. It's silk on the bed, tapestries, like silks on the walls. It looks like a hoe room. You know what I mean? You following me?
Mm-hmm.
And he'll take you in there, and there is a large vanity and a large mirror. It's more masculine based, but it's his room. And he'll point at the mirror for you. Like, there you go. Check yourself out.
He just stops and looks at himself.
I wasn't trying to, assume any prejudices or anything, but I thought you might prefer a darker room.
He's not like he's at this point. Liam is unfortunately being kind of tuned out at the moment. As Elliot kind of looks at the drow that he's become this dark elf.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's handsome, personally. It's nice. It's a good look on you. I can see how you'd be shocked, probably. I don't know what you looked like before. I imagine it wasn't like that.
A little more color. Ears weren't as pointy.
I'm sorry. We all have our He'll nod. I was a priest. And he'll smile at you, like, with a nod.
I got a full ride scholarship to college.
Oh, wow. He'll kind of go through his closet and pull out something that he's got a variety of outfits because he has to fit a variety of clientele. He'll pull out your character. I imagine is probably a little bit smaller than him, slighter.
Yeah.
So he goes to some of his older outfits, and he'll just pull some stuff out that probably fits your character. I imagine black silks and stuff like that. But he'll get you a goodly amount of clothing and a couple of outfits. He calls in some lower members of the court to take your sizes and get you some other stuff going. He'll tell him to put it in that room, and eventually he'll say, "Well, I know it's been quite the cutting road for you, but you're back and you're safe. The gentry aren't going to get you here.
All right.
And as your character says, all right, and begins to feel a peace, kind of almost maybe like, just say, maybe this might be okay. You hear a soft knock on the door.
Is Liam still in the room?
Yep. He looks up, and he looks up, and he looks up curiously, and then his face goes to, oh, okay, as though he knows the person just walked up to the door. Your character sees the rival lord to your lord from the city, staring back at you, with a look on his face of just pure curiosity, and then recognition, and then a smile. That smile. Those kinds of smiles. That, oh. And at that, we can end it there. Thank you, players, for playing, and thank you, watchers, for watching.